So okay, so is that it? Is that it for the Ewoks?
There's really not much more to say about
Okay,
this.
Jake, have you seen Andor?
No, I have not.
Not seen Andor. Okay, okay. So this has all been leading up to Andor. The question of what is Star Wars? What makes a thing Star Wars? I'm guessing you've heard stuff about Andor, Jake. Yes,
I
I'm
have
guessing.
heard of Andor,
Yes.
yes.
Are you at all interested in watching Andor?
No.
To steal from the Empire? To just walk in like you belong? They're so proud of themselves. So fat and satisfied. They can't imagine that someone like me.
No. Why?
Me neither.
Because, like I said, Ahsoka killed Star Wars for me. Particularly the shows. If they come out with a new movie, I might go see it. Depends on if Rey is in it. If Rey's in it, I'm not there.
Okay. Andor. Okay. So this is Jordan. Okay. This is that's very interesting to me. Okay. Andor. The log line for this review is going to be Andor is a very good show. Like, it is a phenomenal show. It is, in fact, probably some of the best Star Wars I have ever seen. Or best television I've ever seen, I should say. It is a bad Star Wars show.
Which means it's a bad show.
But no, that's just it. It is a very good show. Like the final the final like 2 or 3 episodes are phenomenal. Like, truly well performed, well acted, well made, well written. Andy Serkis, it's like they said to Andy Serkis, we're sorry for General Snoke. We're sorry that we put you in that. We're gonna give you probably the greatest monologue ever in Star Wars. Probably it's in fiction, but it is. It is.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it takes everything that was. It's written by one of the guys who wrote Rogue One. It's obviously a prequel, and it's about Cassian Andor, and it's about how he joined the rebellion, and it's about the early foundations of the rebellion. And it is, at points, agonizingly fucking boring. It is agonizingly fucking boring. It is one of the most boring shows I have ever watched in my life. And it...
So you're sending contradictory messages because you said it was one of the best shows, and now you're saying it's one of the most boring shows.
It's basically, it starts off with like Cassian Andor. He's on his home planet, and they work underneath a generic, like, evil science fiction dystopian corporation, and he straight up murders 2 of them. And he winds up working for the spy master of the Rebel Alliance, and it's about the Foundation. He winds up in a heist, stealing several thousand million credits from the Empire. And the show is, as much as it is a origin story for Cassian Andor, it is also a Mon Mothma show, and it is about Mon Mothma in her place in the Republic. So she is a senator who she's basically AOC, where she's like a progressive.
I'm getting from this and The Last Jedi some pretty strong anti-capitalist vibes.
Sort of, not really. This one is more anti-authoritarian, but she's basically within the context of, she's still in the Senate, and she's doing a lot of anti-empire. She blocks pro-empire legislation, and she puts in anti-empire legislation. She's very rich and wealthy, and it basically takes the ideas from The Last Jedi that the aristocracy is really removed, and it's a bunch of hub-nosed, that kind of idea. And it's a real solid political show, and it demonstrates that, at its core, fascism is just boring administration. It's just boring administrative guys agreeing to agreeing to work for some guy, basically.
So I want to interject at this point. You said it. You yourself, in your own words, you said it's a bad Star Wars show, right?
Yes,
It's a bad show.
but it's
a Star Wars show. It's a Star Wars show. You're saying it's a bad Star Wars show.
But
that means it's a bad show. It's missing the point of what it's supposed to be.
But that's just and like there's a lot of moments where it's like, yeah. So in the first episode, he murders 2 guys outside of a brothel. And in like episode 4, one of the guys is like, yeah, so they were killed. They were going to a brothel they shouldn't have been at. They were murdered. We're gonna cover this up and make it look like they were defending some poor person, but they run afoul of some immigrant and they got murdered at a brothel, and I'm like, that's not Star Wars. Or I don't know, Jake, if you've heard, in the newer season, the woman, she nearly gets raped.
Yeah, no, that's not Star Wars.
And so
that feels very not Star Wars.
She comes out and she's like, he tried to rape me, and she literally says he tried to rape me. And like, to me, yeah, that pushes shit too far. Or there's a moment early in the show where one of the characters stabs a guy with a knife, and not like a special laser Star Wars knife, like a literal knife. And someone finds her and he's like, you've got blood all over you. And I'm like, that's too far. Like, that's not Star Wars. That's not what Star Wars is. And like, yeah, there's moments where it's examining the idea of fascism and how fascism can be allowed to operate, and what it's like to work in a fascist government and have that the curtain or specter of fascism over top of your world. And yeah, there's moments where you see stormtroopers come in and they're legitimate. It's the first time stormtroopers are legitimately scary, because they're like the last thing these guys call in. And there's an episode later where Cassian has escaped his planet or whatever, and he runs afoul of, the robots from Rogue One. He runs afoul
the Imperial droids.
Yeah, he runs afoul of one of those, and he gets arrested for like a minor infraction, and he gets sent to jail. And he's like, I didn't do anything, and they end up sending him to jail for 6 years for nothing, basically. And then there's a few episodes where he's in prison and he runs into a prison, like he's basically in their prison. They're building random parts for something, they don't know what, and that's all great, but as soon as you say to me the Star Wars show is a bad Star Wars show, that tells me it's a bad show. And so he winds up in this prison, and yeah, Andy Serkis is phenomenal. The prison break sequence is great, and in those moments, it feels like Star Wars. Like, there's moments where, like, yeah, they're shooting laser beams at each other. Like, there are moments, and when this show is allowed to feel like Star Wars, but like slightly more closer to an R-rated Star Wars, it's fun, and it's really engaging, and it's really interesting. And if you're looking to deal with Star Wars on an intellectual level, then this is a really good show. So it depends. That's why I'm saying what. And it's like, if you're like, oh, it's too dark and too dire, too many people die, and it's sad, like a lot of people die, like meat grinder style, and it's really sad. If you're like, oh, Star Wars shouldn't be that, I understand that argument. But like, objectively, as a show, it's a really good show. Does that make sense? Have I explained myself adequately?
I understand what you're saying, but again, for me, as soon as you say the Star Wars show is not Star Wars, it's a bad show. That's full blank, full stop. The rest of it, that's great. You could put a different paint of coat on it, and I'm sure it would be a good show. But as soon as you say that the Star Wars show it's not Star Wars, it's not a good Star Wars show, that means it's missed the point of the audience that it's trying to get in and who it's trying to appeal to. Also, as soon as they say he tried to rape me in my Star Wars thing, yeah, that kills it for me.
Yeah, that's where I walk out of it.
It's not the violence, because I mean, Revenge of the Sith literally has a scene where he goes to the Jedi temple to murder younglings. Like, Star Wars is inherently violent. It's known for its violence. It's known for its darkness. Like, that's not for me, but there's a fine line that you walk between it being I don't want to say goofy violence, but for lack of a better word, goofy violence versus real violence.
Well,
and when you have real violence, like stabbing someone with a knife, that's different than like shooting them with a blaster.
What I will say, it's not even that Andor is indiscriminately a murderer who murders people, because he does that in Rogue One. Like, because I was trying to figure out, like, I'm like, what's the difference between Rogue One, which in my opinion does what this is trying to do more effectively, versus this, which I think it pushes that boundary too far. Is this has
From
no
what
levity.
You've told me.
This has no,
yeah, I was gonna say.
It has no levity. There's no humor, which is what Star Wars needs in order to make the guys getting gunned down feel more palatable, I think. Maybe that's it. But I don't know.
Yeah. From what you've described too, I think the difference is in terms of Star Wars terminology. In Rogue One, in the movie, those characters feel more like Han Solo scoundrels, whereas what you've described in this show, they just sound like bad people.
Yeah, I mean, the Mon Mothma stuff is really interesting. Like I say, if you're looking to examine Star Wars on an intellectual level, like really examine the political workings of their system and their government, it's a really good. That's why
I'm not.
I'm really that's.
I'm here for explosions and laser swords.
Well, that's not to say that
pretty much.
That's not to say that there isn't explosions in there. It just there's very long sequences of. If you've ever looked at Star Wars and been like, I want really long sequences of Imperial sitting in boardrooms discussing like plans for like 5 to 10 minutes of
that was everything people like Red Letter Media hated about Episode 1 is the trade disputes.
That's what's so baffling to me, right? Is this show is everything everyone hated about the prequels. It's everything everyone hated about The Last Jedi. It's all of that. It's like there's a point where they even mention Canto Blight, but like all of those like those toxic Star Wars fans, of which I feel like we are not in that club.
I don't think we are. I don't count myself in that club.
They will weirdly defend this show. It's really bizarre. I don't understand it.
That's because controversial opinion, and come at me, internet. Star Wars fans don't know what they want.
Yeah,
they don't. They have no idea what they want.
So okay,
I know what I want. I want to stop doing the Skywalker saga and do stuff in the Old Republic. That's what I want. I want fresh or like 10,000 years after the Skywalker saga, when we're in the future and you can do whatever you want. I want new things with new stakes.
I guess that's what Jordan's already said his. So I guess that's a good way to wrap up. May the Fourth be with you, Jake. What would it take for you to get back into Star Wars? Is it Andor?
No. Okay, here's the thing. What made Star Wars special was the storytelling incident. I don't want to say it was black and white and basic, because that's not what I'm saying. But I don't know exactly what it was that got away from what Star Wars was. I think it's been a pretty slow erosion just based on them wanting to create more content. But honestly, I don't think we're ever going to get classic Star Wars back. I think that's done. I think there's been too much damage. So if we want to make it good again, I kind of got to agree with Justin. I got to kind of agree with Jordan here, because The Mandalorian did what you were talking about. And season 1 in particular was
but then it went right back to
awesome.
Here's Luke Skywalker, and he's a CGI monstrosity in season 2, and they ruined it. I completely agree with you.
That's where I say that as soon as you start going back to the tried and true, and I think that's where it got away from us, is at a certain point it stopped making sense. So Ahsoka exists, but like all these other Jedi exist, but none of them, they didn't group up together. They didn't like. The more that you try to shove into the original, particularly the original trilogy, the less it makes sense. Which is why I say we need to. Skywalker saga's done. No more. Don't go back there. Leave it. It's done. Stop doing stuff in that time period. Either do it long before or long after, so you can have dozens of untold stories with unknown characters who have actual stakes, because you don't know what's going to happen in the universe.
I think, and okay, tell me if you guys disagree with this. Because I'm trying to figure out what it is about Andor I don't like, and I think it's just because, like, fundamentally, I wasn't looking for Star Wars to be an exploration or examination on fascism. Like, I wasn't looking for the nuance. Like, yeah, I understand that
it's too realistic.
Fundamentally, in war and in a rebellion, yeah, the rebels have to do bad shit. Like no rebellion is perfect, no uprising is perfect, but like I don't need to see that explored in Star Wars. Like I don't need to see that, oh, maybe the Empire isn't all bad. Like you're right. I think that what works about that first Star Wars movie is they're the bad guys, they're the good guys, that's it. Not everything needs nuance, maybe is maybe how I would characterize it.
Yeah, I think especially when it's like the Empire, which is they're evil. Yeah. Like that's the point in the original movies is they're evil. They're the guys that will build a Death Star and blow up a planet just to have the rest of the universe fall in line. So when you start to humanize that, same as like when you start to humanize that and make the rebels look like, oh, well they're not good either, well then who are we supposed to root for then? Yeah. If the rebels are just as bad as the Empire. That's my issue with that show.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
It's like, and the reason why the movie works better is because there are enough characters that are like scoundrels, sure, like not straight good, but they're more Han Solo and less Boba Fett.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas Andor to me is more like they're all Boba Fett, where they're too dark.
Yeah, and I think that has to do with the fact that the show is just written by the one guy who's like, yeah, I want to make an anti-Star Wars show. And like, I get why people are maybe starving for that. And like, it's the same thing, the same issue I have with those Netflix Marvel shows, which we're probably going to end up talking about next week, where it's hard for me to like picture a universe where like the Jedi and Grievous and Darth Vader exists, but also this woman's like, and he tried to rape me. It's just those two, like,
yeah, there's a real
escapism is escapism for a reason, and it should have a right to remain escapism. I don't feel like that's unfair, personally.
Right.
Yeah, like I think my issue with like Andor and stuff like that is, and I don't know how to work. There are places where that can be a thing, like shows like, not necessarily literally the Orville, but like shows like the Orville, which are also science fiction, but they tackle deeper things, more serious things. In some cases, like or a show like that, like yeah. You can have another thing. You don't have to mix your peanut butter with your chocolate. Like in some cases, you can just enjoy your chocolate separately and your peanut butter separately. I don't need that to kind of that. I think that's how I would put it.
Yeah. So neither of you guys, I didn't manage to convince you to watch Andor. Hey, just watch like the episode 10 on YouTube and clips. Go look up Andy Serkis Andor, because I know he is truly like phenomenal on that show. Just like, I think he may have either won or got nominated for an Emmy for it. Like it's honestly some of the yeah. It's why my final opinion on it is just mixed. I was mixed on it. That's why it's hard. It's hard for me to recommend, because I'm like, I get why people like this, but I also get why people don't like this. I saw someone say it's a Star Wars thing that's a shame to be Star Wars, which is a problem. Anyway.
Yeah, again, to me that means it's a bad show. But hey, that's just my opinion.
See, when this eventually becomes a YouTube video, you guys are gonna get yelled at in the comments, and I'm gonna be the one who doesn't get yelled at the comments for once.
No. Let's be fair.
No.
I'll be the one who gets yelled at, because I was the one who was most vocal against it.
Because the title's going to be like, Andor is a bad Star Wars show, and every single person... We're going to play a game of how many people actually watch the video. Those are always my favorite. I thought for sure Animal Farm Communism Bad was going to get some people. Anyway.
Communism Bad.
That's the point of that book. That's it. That's Star Wars. Thanks, Jake, for hanging out and talking about Star Wars.
Oh, thanks for having me.
On May the 4th. Yeah, we're gonna do Star Trek again eventually. Jake has to.
I was just gonna say My advice to everyone: just watch Star Trek.
Let's watch Star Trek instead. They're not trying to make rude Star Trek. I mean, Quentin Tarantino wanted to, but they wouldn't let him. Hey everybody, it's Endcard Justin here. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think about Andor? Tell Jordan why he's wrong, and tell him why this is the greatest Star Wars show ever existence to be Star Wars down in the comments. But in the meantime, if you would like to check out our May the 4th Be With You special with Jake from Arte Media, you click the box on the left, and that's going to take you to that episode. Or if you want to see a random video that YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy, you can click the box on the right. Otherwise, hit subscribe if you haven't already, leave us a like if you could, and we will see you all in the next video.